Good morning, world. Hey, this is a wonderful day because I've got a special episode because of a question that was asked last week. And that question is how are you so happy and positive? I've got my notes here on the screen, so you might see me look off every once in a while to my other screen. But I thought that was such an insightful question. At first I answered it and said, oh, because I do this and that and that. But then it really got me thinking, why am I so happy? Why am I so positive? First, let me state right off with the fact that I'm not always happy. Let's just be honest here. My children can attest to that. My wife can attest to that. Other people can attest to that. But I do try to always remain positive and try to be happy. So I'm not always, but I'm pretty close. I would say I would say at least 85, 90% of the time, maybe even a little higher. But it really is a conscious effort. So with that said, I've been just taking notes all week. I've been thinking about this question is how are you so happy and positive? That was the exact question. How are you so happy and positive? And I just sat and thought about that, and I've been thinking about it since last week. So I've had a week to prepare, baby. And I'm so excited because it helped me to do some inflection and understanding of why I am. And one of the things that I came up with, I'm going to move this over to this other screen so hopefully it looks like I'm still looking at you. For those who are watching the video and those who are listening to it on podcast, you don't know I'm not looking at you. So, okay. The first reason, this episode might be a little bit longer just because I'm going through each point. I think it was a fabulous thing for me to kind of reflect on and to do some really internal audit, if you want to call it that. And I encourage you to do that, is to find out why you are what you are, whatever, if it's sad, if you're happy, if you're, mournful, what is it that is causing you to be that way? So first one, I'm happy because of many reasons. So first one is I make it a conscious effort and choose to be. I just always have. I've always looked at, when life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. In my case, I like to make several batches of it. And it's just always been something that I've consciously made an effort of. And I allow those things when they come, that I don't worry about them. It's like, for instance, let me just go to when my daughter was diagnosed and had a tumor in her brain. All kinds of people were like, oh my gosh, And I thought, well, honestly, there's nothing I can do. I studied it. I studied what would help, diet, nutrition, the same. So I studied those different things. I also studied on, exercises. I studied on some homeopathic. I studied essential oils. I studied some natural herbs. And so I did a lot of study. But beyond that, that's all I could do. And so I was like, well, I do believe in a higher power, in God, Jesus Christ. And I believe those two are rooting for me. And they want the best for me in my life. And they sent what I believe in as a Holy Spirit to guide me and to help comfort me. And so when this trial came up, at first, like any parent, I was like, oh man, just the thoughts go through your head. And then I sat down and I said, okay, honestly, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I figured out the worst case scenario. Now, I believe that there's life after death. I believe that we go on, that there's a much greater purpose to all this that we don't understand now. And so I thought, okay, the worst thing that could happen is that she becomes a vegetable and we're having to feed her the rest of her life out of a tube. And I didn't even think death was the worst thing that could happen, because I think it would be more miserable to have to be stuck in a chair or something. And so I said, okay, that's the worst thing that could happen. What's the best thing that could happen? Well, the best thing that could happen is, the surgery goes well, she bounces out of it, no problem, bada bing, bada boom, they get everything, fantastic. And then I just let it be. I mean, I was still worried, I was still concerned, but that doesn't do me any good. So I focused on the positive. I focused on being with her in the moment. I focused on really just kind of laughing and enjoying. Matter of fact, for Halloween, we actually had a lot of people get upset with us, but we chose to have fun with it. So I dressed up as a surgeon, my wife dressed up as a nurse, and my daughter, we got one of those plastic molds that look like a brain, and we painted it so that it really looked like a brain. We sat it on her head, and then we taped it up with ace bandage so it looked like her brain was exposed. And I mean, Aaliyah she was all for it too. She loved it as well as much as we did. And so we did that, and we had some people who thought, oh, this is so funny, ha ha ha. Other people are like, I can't believe you're making so fun out of something so serious. Well, okay, yes, it is serious. But is it going to do me any good to stress about it? No. Matter of fact, it's going to do worse to be in a negative, in a pessimistic mood than it would be to stay in a positive, uplifting, upbeat mood. Matter of fact, the positive helps to prepare the body for healing. The negative does not. So I chose right there, that was a conscious choice that I said, you know what, we're going to make this a positive. So one of the first things is I choose to be happy. I choose to look at the positive in all things. The next one is I have made it a regular practice to improve myself. So again, I've got my notes here that I'm referring back to the points. I am constantly reading and listening to motivational stuff and self-improvement stuff. Not just like motivation, hippie yappy yahoo, that type of stuff. But I am listening to stuff that will help improve my life. I'm listening to blogs and podcasts that help teach me how to garden better. I'm listening to things that help me to eat better and to know what to eat and to listen to the different point of views. I mean, you have some diets that say you eat meat and you need to eat a lot more meat. Then you have some that say you need to be a vegan. You need to just, be straight, no meat. And then you have some that say, you need to eat more carbs. You have some that say less carbs. So there's just so much out there. So I choose to study it. I learn about it. And then I find the things that work for me, what feels right inside of me. And so I choose to look for things that are going to help me improve in my life. I choose to look for, mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, social. I look for those things on a constant basis, and I study them. I study, I've purchased courses to improve myself. One of the things that I also do is oh, I'm terribly sorry about that. Woo! I make it a conscious effort to improve my speaking. And I hope that as I am talking and speaking that I'm coming across well. I've really focused hard on not saying ums and likes and so's and this and that. I am very focused on whatever I can do to improve myself. So that's the second thing. I am constantly learning about how I can help others. One of the things that I heard a while ago, so this is point number 3, is learning how I can help others, is I learned that the more I help somebody else, the more invigorated I get, the more excited I get, the more passionate and the just happy I get. And I found that when I look for those opportunities, and it's not physical. It's not like going out and helping somebody pick things up and moving them. That I can't do that as much as I used to because I've hurt my back and I really honestly don't know what happened. And the docs say, basically my lumbar pulls at the same time and it just kind of kinks me. So I just, those things I can't. But I can help from a mental, spiritual, social, emotional level. I frequently help a lot of people who will call sometimes just to talk and to get a pick-me-up and to listen. And so they realize that I'm not going to judge them. And so I'm constantly looking for ways to help others. Number 4, I realize that it's better to be happy and positive, which will help in any situation, than being negative, which will hurt this situation. I already kind of talked about that with my daughters. I don't think I need to go any further into that, but it really is just, it's a choice. It is a conscious choice what you're going to do, how you're going to respond to a situation. I choose to be positive. I choose to focus on the positive. And I've had many things that have happened in my life that people would not say are positive, but that is a conscious effort that I do. Number 5, I have a purpose. I've discovered a purpose. Doing the stuff like this has really helped me to discover a purpose, essentially a will to live, a desire to press forward in life, an excitement, an energy. Brendan Burchard calls it a charged life. I love it. I look forward to these opportunities to sit down and to do this. I look forward to every speaking opportunity, getting up in front of a group and sharing what I've learned and the knowledge that I've learned, and then hearing the feedback when people come back and they're like, oh man, thank you so much for saying that, and asking questions, what would you recommend for this and that. I just love that. I found a purpose. So I'd encourage you, what is a purpose you have? And it doesn't have to be helping somebody even. It could be just be you find purpose in helping your child succeed, or whatever it is. You just kind of have to find a purpose. Number 6, I don't allow my anger to control me. Now, this is one that I have 7 children. I love them all deeply. And they are also some of my biggest anger moments. I blow my top, or at least almost blow my top, if I ask them to do something and they don't do it. And I'm not talking like a big thing. It's like, pick up your shoes. And then 10 minutes later, it's still on the ground. I just, boo! Or if they roll my eyes. If they roll their eyes at me. Oh, no. You do not do that. That is one thing that causes Mount St. Helens to just explode. And I mean, that's where this hair just turns into fire. And trust me, there's a lot of it when that happens. And my sister can attest to that. But I choose, though, when I do get angry, I sometimes will explode, but then I step back and I'm like, I process it. It's like, did that really matter? Was that thing really worth getting this angry about? Is it worth staying angry about? Is it worth staying sad about? Is it worth staying upset? Whatever it is, I start to be mindful of what my feelings are. I'm mindful of where my thoughts are. I'm mindful of my emotions. And then that's when I choose, okay, do I want to stay here? And sometimes I do. I want to stay angry for a moment. And so I'll say, you know what? I'm going to stay angry for another 5-10 minutes. And I'm going to be angry. I'm going to own it. I'm going to be angry. I'm not going to react to anybody else, but I'm going to go outside. I'm going to maybe break some sticks, whatever. But for 5 more minutes, I'm going to choose to be angry. And I'll even set a timer. Sometimes I'll set a timer and say, 5 minutes. That's what I've got to be angry. When you do that, it's rare that I make it to the 5 minutes. Because you're laughing that you're choosing to be angry for 5 minutes. It's just kind of comical. So that is one of the things, is I choose to control my emotions. I just move on. Number 7, when somebody makes me mad or upset, I just move on. Okay, now, I've had a client. I love this client dearly. I consider her a great friend. And she owed me over $30,000. And she declared bankruptcy on me. And I thought, how How could you do this? We're friends. And then I'm talking with people and I said, oh, you need to sue her. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I went and I talked to an attorney and they said, well, frankly, do you want to own that business? Because what you showed, your documentation is you will win. There was no doubt in their mind. You will win. But do you want to own that business? And do you want to then run it and all that? And I didn't. I wanted to help her. I wanted to help her succeed. I wanted to help grow even more so that then she could pay her debts to me. But she declared bankruptcy on me and I lost everything. And this was at a time when you're running your own business, that's a devastating blow. I mean, 30 grand, boom, that's gone. And that wasn't just my time. That was expenses and other things and just gone overnight. And that was one time that I chose, I was going to be angry for a while. I admit it. It controlled me longer than I even wanted it to. Because I would constantly bring it back up. And I was using it as an excuse of why I hadn't moved on and gotten to greater financial success. And then I realized I'm trapping myself. I'm the one that's holding me back. She's not. I'm allowing her. I'm giving her the energy to hold me back. And that was like, okay, no more. No. That's not going to happen. So I had to make a conscious effort. Again, it's being aware of where you're at, being aware of who you're giving your energy, your time, all of that to. And then deciding, do I want to still give that energy to that person? And I chose not to. I just moved on. I walked away from $30,000. And everybody said, you are stupid. You're ridiculous. Talking about all the voices. But I was like, no, you know what? I personally just believe you got to move on. And that's what I did. And I'm much better. And now it makes for a good story. Okay, number 8. I already talked about number 8. I listen to motivational stuff every day. I mean, Brendan Burchard, I listen to James Wedmore, I listen to Zig Ziglar, I listen to Tupac. I mean, there's so many people I listen to, and I can go on and on and on. And I read books frequently about the same subject. So, number 9, I do not listen to the news. No. Negatory, do not listen to it. I hate the media. Absolutely hate the media. They give you nothing but the negative. I said 9.999 out of 10 is nothing but negative. And most of the time, it's not even accurate. They're just making up stuff. I talked with a person the other day, and they were talking about how they know a lot of journalists, and they said they don't know what they're talking about. They don't even know the situation when they're reporting. So I actually refuse to listen to the news, to listen to media like that. Don't do it. It's just a time sucker, waste land that just when it sucks you in, then you just start getting all depressed about this shooting or that shooting or this accident or this person got killed. I mean, it's just, I already know that the world's got a lot of evil, and I choose to look at the good it has. And I choose to look at the political. I'm heavily politically charged. But whoever's in office, even if I'm frustrated with them, even if I don't like them, I still support them. They're still in the office that represents me, and I pray for them. And I pray that they will have the guidance of a loving Heavenly Father, and that they will be the best president ever, just like I am right now. With President Trump, I hope he's the best president ever. And I hope that the media and everybody else will just allow him to do his job and get off his back. And imagine, maybe he will be the best president. And maybe, we just don't know. When you give somebody the ability to excel, and you look at them in a positive light and you see them as who they can be, oh man, miracles happen. And imagine if our country got behind whatever president we had and just like sent them the love, sent them the energy, the positive, uplifting energy that they need. Who knows where we would be? I mean, our country would be that much greater. We really would. It would be amazing. So I do not listen to news. I do not listen, do not listen, do not listen. So I hope you realize you got that. Matter of fact, it's kind of funny. If something happens here in Utah, my mom is the one that calls me up and she said, "Are you all right? Everything okay? Everybody accounted for?" I'm like, yeah, why? Because there was this that happened. This. Oh, I didn't know. So my mom is my news media source. Which mom, I encourage you, don't listen to the news, but we'll move on. Okay, next one. Obviously I'm have some repeats here. They obviously are more effective in helping me to stay positive and happy. And number 10 was I am mindful of my thoughts and feelings. I'd already talked about that. Be aware of how you're thinking, what you're thinking, where your emotions are at, who you're giving the energy to, and then choose if you want to continue to do that. It's your choice. Number 11, I love what I'm doing. This goes back to purpose. I absolutely love this. I love speaking. I love engaging with people. I love that energy that comes when you're up on a stage. I just love it. And so you've got to find what you love. You've got to find what gives you energy, which gives you spark, which gives you purpose. And man, it just helps so much more. Number 12, again, helping others. I've already talked about that. I just look for always ways to help you to make this even that much better. Number 13, I don't allow things to bother me. I just choose to just move on. You know, I'm friends with somebody who most people would hate, you know, because they've done them wrong. And you know, I have friends and family and things that it breaks my heart that they just won't move on. They won't let the past be the past. They won't look for the present now and the future that they could have as an amazing relationship. And that actually is what breaks my heart. I honestly, that is one thing that when I start thinking about that, it just really breaks my heart. And I just hope that if they are listening to this, I love you, and I hope you can move on. But let's get back to the more positive. When something happens, I look at it from what's the worst case scenario. Number 14, there it is. I tell my children this. You know, I got one daughter. She stresses. She's a very what's the word they call it? Perfectionist. She wants to excel in school. Anything she does, she just wants to do the best. And she does phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal stuff. I could show you some artwork, but it's in the other room. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have brought it in. But I show you some artwork she did, and she just stressed about it. But it turned out amazing. Well, she came and she said, "Well, what if I don't do it?" And I said, "What if you don't? What's the worst case scenario?" "Well, I get a bad grade." "Okay, and if you get a bad grade?" "Well, I fail the class." "Okay, and you fail the class." "Well, and then she said, well," and she kind of runs out of things. So I exaggerated a little bit more. I said, no. Let me tell you the worst case scenario. You get a bad grade, you're left homeless, and because you're homeless, you get this disease that then attacks your body and then spreads throughout the world and then causes the whole world to die. Okay, there's your worst case scenario. She's like, "Oh, Dad." But seriously, the worst case scenario really is not as bad as we make it think, as bad as we make it seem. And in her case, she realized, yeah, I'm making this bigger than it really needs to be. I just need to focus on the positive. We even restrict her on her studying because she'll just study and study and study and study. We're like, hey, okay, you're done. You've got to move on. You're done. So always look at what the worst case scenario and then move on. And if you know what the worst case scenario is, then you say, okay, am I really going to be homeless? Well, for my daughter, no, she wasn't. I would never let my daughter go homeless. Then it's like, okay, so that's at the point where it stopped. Well, okay, that's not that bad of a scenario. And I said, you have the drive and the energy that you wouldn't be homeless. Even if you didn't graduate, you would still get a job and do the things. For one, because I would push you out. You're going to live on your own. You're going to contribute to society. And that's what I do, is I look at the worst case scenario and then I move on. There's not much you can do. And then those areas where I can make a difference, I make a difference. Those areas that I can't, I don't worry about it. I got to move on. There's so many things we stress about that we have no control over. So we just got to move on. Number 15, I have fun in life. I try to have fun in life. The other day, my daughter just turned 18. She was kind of down, and her birthday wasn't exactly what she'd hoped, and she had some friends that had promised her that they'd go do some things, and that didn't work out. And so she was really kind of down. So I'd gotten off work, and I grabbed my little Bluetooth headphone thing, and I came bouncing out in looking like I was rocking out, and I said, "Time to get the party started!" And it just caught her off guard, but it was having fun. It was having fun in life, and we need to have those moments. We need to have those moments that we wake up and we go, what am I going to do different today? What am I going to do that's just going to put me out of my comfort zone and just have fun? There was one time that we had milk that spilled on the floor, and sometimes I blow up, and this one time I didn't, and instead I got down, I was like, ooh, food! And so I started, all the kids that were around started jumping down, and we're sitting there licking this milk up. Okay, it was gross, but instead, we're having fun in life. So you got to just look for ways to have fun. And I need to improve on this. I've gotten to be kind of this fuddy-duddy, and I've got to get back into doing this more. Okay, number 16, self-care. I do a lot of self-care, or at least I try to. I take that moment of playing volleyball each week or some kind of a sport. I look for a way to get it released. Now, whatever your self-care is, you've got to discover it. You need to take care of yourself. You are not helping anybody else if you can't help yourself. It is so important that you are the healthiest you can be. And so when I refer to self-care, my wife, sometimes she just needs a bath. Just leave me alone, let me have a bath. Sometimes she likes to go to a movie by herself. I don't even go to the movie with her. She's doing her own self-care. It's something that helps her to just kind of release and to rejuvenate. And so she'll go to the movie by herself. I know other people who they'll take trips. They've got more financial capabilities, so they'll take trips. I know other people who they'll go hiking. They take that moment, they go hiking or they're running or stuff like that. So you've got to identify what is your self-care and do it. It's critical. It's absolutely critical. And if you're married, you really need to have that with your relationship. You need to go and get away with your husband or your wife to really build that relationship away from everything, away from work, away from the home, and just get away. Save the money, and I believe you should try to do it at least every 90 days. Once every 3 months, so every quarter. So, alrighty, number 17. I try to always get people to smile no matter where I'm at, or if I'm in person or on the phone. This is one of the things that when I see somebody down or upset or frustrated, I kind of make it a game to see if I can get them to smile. Then if I can get them to smile, then I see if I can get them to laugh. And if I can get them to laugh, man, it's just awesome. And I went on a trip one time, and I went to this person's house. And when I first went to their house, they're like, why the heck are you here? And a lot of people could get down. I'm like, okay. As soon as he said that, it was like my brain kicked in. I've got to get this guy to smile. And I would try to do whatever I could to get this person to smile. And I succeeded eventually. He just looked at me. I got a little chuckle. He's like, you are the biggest idiot I've ever met. I was like, yes! I got it though. I got it. And so that's one thing. When you try to help other people, you try to help bring a smile to them, to help their day be better. Oh, it is so much better for you, for them. It's contagious. And that's one thing that I definitely work on. Okay, well, I lost my spot. Okay, number 18. I am grateful for my blessings and express it all the time. I look for the gratitude. I look to be grateful for all my blessings. I look forward to, even when, like my daughter had the tumor, I look for the blessings that came from it. It was amazing. The people that came back and said, you have no idea how much your daughter helped me. And she's right. I had no idea how we were helping anybody. And so I look for just I'm grateful for the blessings that are all around us. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my chickens. I'm grateful for my yard, my wife, my children, my vehicle, any monetary things that I have, like my chipper shredder, so I can, improve my garden. I'm grateful for it as everything. And I try to even express gratitude to it. I honestly believe that there's energy in everything. And I feel positive energy builds, constructs, and improves. And I feel negative energy just detracts, destroys, and annihilates. And so I choose to give positive energy everywhere I can. And that's another thing. So just being grateful for everything, my blessings. Number 19, I'm intentional in my being. I've talked about this. Obviously, this is the big one. It's just being mindful where I'm at, being who I am. I'm intentional of maintaining a positive outlook. I'm intentional on helping people when I can. I'm intentional on staying uplifted and motivating, and as much as I can. Number 20, my purpose is much bigger than me. This goes back to my purpose. When you discover your purpose, it's such an invigorating feeling to work on it. It actually is painful when you're not working on it. It's painful when you're doing other things besides that. And I'm trying to get to the point where I'm only doing the things that I love to do, and I'm giving everything else that I don't want to do to somebody else. So I'm always looking at my purpose, and it's much bigger than me. I'm helping more people than me. And so I always look at that, if it's making them happy, if it's making them smile, if it's just helping you guys realize you're amazing, my purpose is much bigger. Number 21, I try to look for the opportunity in everything that happens. Again, we kind of talked about that. 22, I don't care what other people think of me, and I'm not worried about it. In life, some of the greatest drama that comes is when we give people our energy. When we give them any of our happiness, we allow them to dictate how we're going to be. We allow them to dictate how we're going to feel. We allow them to make us angry. We allow them to upset us. I don't care. I don't care. Matter of fact, I think that's helped me in my life, because there's a lot of people that most people meet them and they're like, man, they are the grumpiest people in the world. And they say, don't you ever do this or that? Well, guess what? I do that thing that they said don't do. And my personality, I guess I just get away with it. And they just realize I do it out of love, that I care for them and I love them. And it's just, I don't worry about things. I don't worry about getting in the drama. He said this about you. Okay. He says this about, okay. Yeah, I just don't care. I choose to keep the energy to invigorate me and not to give it to somebody else. Number 22 is about that. I don't get tangled up in the drama. I don't allow family stuff I don't get tangled up in it. I get hurt by it, but I don't get tangled up in it. I love everybody. I try to engage everybody, and I stay connected, and I just don't get tangled up in it. I just choose not to. Number 23, I'm not easily offended. That kind of goes back up with that. Say I'm bald and I look like a Chewbacca. I don't care what you say. I just don't care. I don't think you should worry about what other people say, or don't get offended. I mean, don't give them the energy, the pleasure of offending you. That's how I look at it. Somebody says, "Oh, you got a rubber leg," and it's like, well, okay, if that's what you want to think, that's fine. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of it hurting my feelings. Heck no, I'm moving on. And then number 24, I don't hold grudges. Not like that, the story I shared about where this lady, I feel, stole $30,000 from me because she declared bankruptcy. I still love her. I still care for her. I still want her business to succeed. And I hope to see her someday, and I'll walk up and I'll give her a hug and shake her hand and say, "How are you doing?" Because I just don't care. I'm not going to give energy where I can't make a difference. And so you got to move on. So that was it. Those are the 24 tips I came up with for me. And I encourage you to kind of look at why you are being the way you are being. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you depressed? Are you anxious? Are you, whatever it is. Identify it. Be mindful of where you're at. And then choose to make a difference. Now, if it's clinical depression or clinical anxiety or things like that, then we're talking a little bit it's a little different. But we can still recognize where our thoughts are at, and then do that exercise I talked about last week, writing down the negative feelings, and then on the opposite side, writing the exact opposite. So if I'm ugly, on the opposite side, I'm beautiful, and you give a positive physical trait about yourself. So that's what it is. That's the things I do in my life to help keep me uplifted, motivated, happy, excited, optimistic. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you do. If there's something, excuse me, if there's something that you do that I didn't mention, and hey, maybe I'll implement it, or I'll do a podcast on that. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to talk about, to go further in depth. I look forward to doing these. I look forward to helping you in any way I possibly can. Thank you so much. You are amazing. Remember to rise up to the challenge because you are amazing. Have a great day.